flag in the ground because I try to be historically correct. You know, I have no equity or involvement with TikTok. I give a fuck if it disappears tomorrow.
They're all developing content on YouTube and on Instagram. Like they're doing it across all the platforms, right? And the one thing they say is when they launch on TikTok, it just goes fast. Like the content, for whatever, it's not restrained by the social graph or whatever you want to call it, right? That when it pops, it just goes really
There's so much attention on your platform right now. I mean, it's not super complicated. It went really fast on Vine too. It went really fast on Instagram when Instagram didn't have enough creators making for it. This is one big game of supply and demand of content and the attention on the other side. Yeah, and it's gonna go really fast until the attention doesn't match the amount of output. It's just the same old game. This is one game played over and over again. And by the way, it went back to television, but in modern times, this is email marketing. Email open rates for very developed email newsletters in the 1996 to 1999 range had scary numbers like 80% open rates, 90% open rates, because nobody was emailing. You know, and we, you know, how many people here had email in 1997? Just raise your hands. Raise them high, because I want the kids to see this. Remember how we read every fucking email back then? And so there's this attention graph that plays out. And I mean, you intimately know this. This was what I was yelling about in 2009, 10, 11 about Facebook. I'm like, these pages, organic reach is remarkable. And I'm like, and it will go away. And it was not because I knew anything other than it always goes away. TikTok, inevitably, unless it's able to suck out all the collective attention of the world at all times, eventually there's a crescendo, there's a tipping point where there's more content being produced, plus you'll eventually, I think, maybe not, create a product where people can start showing up in the feed or other places. It's a land grab. It's like buying up beachfront property in Malibu. Somebody did that, and eventually it got more expensive. And so, yeah, I mean, I speak to all the creators top down a lot, and I'm spending a ton of time talking to them over the last 150 days, and you're absolutely right. And where I'm really passionate is being a creator now is like everybody's dream at a youth level, and then more importantly for a lot of people here, storytelling and having it seen is very important. And I think it's one thing for a creator that's already won on YouTube or Instagram or somewhere else when they come over. What's been so fun for me is seeing these people who've, I said it earlier, desperately have tried for the last 3 years and seeing how quick the results are. And look, you know, flag in the ground because I try to be historically correct. You know, I have no equity or involvement with TikTok. I give a fuck if it disappears tomorrow.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, Gary.
Fair enough. I respect. I'm sure that 10-year run in Facebook wasn't the worst, Blake. But nonetheless, I think for me it's like, hey, how many more times does this industry, Adweek, need to see this show to understand what the game is? The game is very simple. Things emerge that have uncomfortable amounts of attention in comparison to how much output creatively is there, and those are incredible times to storytell and learn. And people waiting for it to be real or some reporting mechanism to, you know, the rub, and you know this is your guys' world, the rub of waiting for reporting to justify your spend on it is the rub. It's no different than podcast pre-roll right now. I mean, there's no confusion that there's an enormous amount of people listening to podcasts, but watching people not buy ads because the reporting isn't in place yet is why people don't do it. And that's why entrepreneurs and startups always grow, because big companies trade on fake metrics and small companies trade on truth. So
I'm gonna let that just sit in for a second.
Yeah, I mean, that
was very profound.
It's historically correct. You know, all that TikTok, for me, being the first brand to go heavy into TikTok that is targeting that demo, because I still don't fully know where the demo is, but let's just say skews younger for now, is no different than Procter & Gamble being the biggest spender on television in the 50s and 60s, because that was the arbitrage. Or Wish, the shopping app, you probably knew this. Yep. I mean, this is what Facebook executives joke about all the time. There's all these companies and LLCs that nobody's ever heard of spending uncomfortable amounts of money, and Coke and BMW are spending a third of that, and everyone's confused what's going on. To me, if you're selling to 15 to 25-year-olds anything, and you don't have an uncomfortable strategy, uncomfortable is a slang term for all in, creating every day at scale on TikTok, you're missing one of the great kind of moments, and the shit can go away. You know, and it still goes with you. One of the things that I'm always fascinated by is people like, well, Gary, what if it goes away in 3 years? I'm like, you take the brand equity with you. There was a lot of people who built a lot of brand equity on Vine, and when they started creating on Snap or Instagram, the audience, a percentage of it went. I don't know why everybody's so literal. You're so happy to market on Super Bowl or on television or on outdoor, that goes away too. But there's something ideological in the system that has this sad feeling that it might turn into MySpace. You know, my preference is that they all die, because that means the attention's moving and it will always benefit the quickest and the people that are most willing to play that game, which is my most comfortable game. I love having debates with people about the past. The past is always people's vulnerability to the current and definitely to the future.
So, I think that, listen, I'm a big fan of everything you just said, right? You know, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm innovative, like, I love this space. And the reason I joined the company is because at that inflection point where, you know, it's having to learn, it's having to grow up a little bit, it's having to think differently, you know, it's having to create some standards. It does have to have some measurability.
100%.
Give people confidence.
100%.
Content's not only being seen, but it's having an impact on awareness, consideration, intent.
And real quick on that, I apologize, Blake. That's all true and all plays here. That has nothing to do with what the consumer is actually doing.
Yep.
That's the rub. Of course that's gonna happen. That's why you go there. And that will play out over time. But every second you wait for that to happen, the underpriced attention becomes more expensive.